Okay, Colette, you are wanting to know about a employment situation, work, and should I change or stick with what I am doing, is what you listed. A number of caveats up front. I've been having a lot of personal drama and stuff, and anyways, this is actually a pleasant distraction from all the bullshit I've had to deal with. But I was hesitant to try and do this tonight, but I actually, I feel like I connected. Also, a caveat, in the back of my mind, I get this idea of, when someone asks a question, sort of a safe play for them, but then I kind of put that away, deal the cards, and see what they have to say. And then, I address my intuition with what the cards have to say. And, like I say, I feel I made a strong connection, despite everything. And I'm going to go over it with you. This spread is basically a should I or shouldn't I spread. And I also drew one more card, and I'll explain that at the end. As far as you staying where you're at, the cards that came up were, some reversed cards. They were reversed major arcana cards, and I won't go into detail, but I'll tell you. They pretty much showed that there's a certain creativity that's stifled and that type of thing. As well, it doesn't look like the money is necessarily what you'd like it to be. And that's important because we need to address that later on, okay? The one thing that did come up positive was this seems to be a position that you do enjoy to some level. At least that's what the cards say. What we specifically got was the Valet de Coupe, or the Page of Cups, which shows that there may still be things for you to learn where you're at. And there also may be a certain element of enjoyment and fulfillment that you get out of that position. Now, going to this other place that you're considering, we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed, which says there may be a little more consistency there. That was reversed, which means the ups and downs. Apparently, there may be some things that you're going through now that you're not entirely satisfied with. That will be the change. There may be some added consistency if you transition to someplace else. We also have the Eight of Coins, which was a very, very solid indicator. That's a very solid indicator that you'd have a lot of work to do, a lot of, you'd be able to just dig in and get your hands dirty and do what it is that you're seeking to do. I used my Oswald Worth deck. So the images, the pip cards are pip cards. Not every card has a wonderful graphic image, but the point is, it looks like there would be work for you to do that you would be able to busy yourself with, that you could involve yourself with. I get the impression that what this card is really telling us is, if you're the kind of person who likes to lose yourself in your work, then that option would allow for that. And interestingly enough, the other card on the draw with that kind of implies that you are knowledgeable enough that if you were to move, there wouldn't be anything new for you to learn as well. It's interesting because both, whatever field, I don't know if you're considering transitioning from one field to another, or just transitioning the type of work you do to working for someone else, and I almost get a feel from what the cards are saying that it's not as much of you wanting to do something different as much as you wanting to do what you're doing another way or for somebody else, because it doesn't look like there's anything new for you to learn, but there is maybe a new experience for a level of control, or for how much you can involve yourself with your work if you were to transition. Now, the other card is what is the outcome if you stay where you're at, and it looks like, interestingly enough, the outcome seems to be a turning away. It was the Eight of Cups, which is, well, what's the Eight of Cups reversed, actually? Which, to me, implies, you're not moving to new things, you're staying with the old stuff, and the Eight of Cups, as is shown in a lot of decks, and at least in a couple that I'm familiar with. In my deck, you're moving away from the cups, but you're moving toward the source of a river and toward a mountain. In other cups, there's a cup missing that the individual tends to be going after. So it tends to show me that if you stay where you're at, you're always going to feel that there's something lacking. Meanwhile, the card drawn for the outcome if you move or go to the other place is the Six of Coins, which is a card of balance, a card of generosity, a card that shows, I mean, it's interesting because there are three subjects in the on the card as it's shown graphically. Once again, this deck shows just the coins. But the graphic version shows two individuals who are in need and another individual who's very charitable giving. And as I read this, I see you as, I see the card telling us that there's going to be balance, and you are going to have the ability to be a little more generous. Now, keep in mind, when I say generous, that's not necessarily meaning financially. It could be, and the fact that it's a coin implies that more likely than anything else. But it could also be, as I'm reading this, and because of another card I drew later, it could just mean that you have the ability to be generous in other ways. That maybe there'll be other opportunities for you to show generosity with your time or your instruction or your teaching. So that is the outcome for either. Now, when I drew the final card for the spread is the card of what you need to know before you make a decision. Drew the Ten of Wands, which implies to me that you're getting in your own way. And so maybe, and this is the tough part about a spread like this. Once again, as a reader, you're supposed to not involve your own feelings or your own expectations, and so I do put those aside. But I want to be honest with you that that before I put those aside, they were that I don't ever want to tell someone to take a risk that maybe they shouldn't or aren't prepared to take. But the cards have really spelled out for us here that you want to make this move. And the fact that you're getting in your own way by this final card tells me that you may be better equipped to see some of the things I'm discussing than I am. I could try to focus on it and maybe get more. Let me see if I can do that a little bit. I'm trying right now. I'm getting cloth and material in like almost like a curtain holding you back or something. And I don't know if that's just a metaphor or if there's something more literal about that. And almost like fabric wrapped around something that you're trying to push side to move forward. And you know, I get these things, and they mean nothing to me because I don't, you know, I'm not. They might mean something to you, but that's what I get. Almost like fabric wrapped around something big and heavy that you need to push aside to move forward. And that'll clear your way. And I almost see, and for some strange reason, I even see a stage after that, and I don't know what kind of stage it is, or if it's just a clearing, either a stage or a clearing. But anyways, because I'm always hesitant to tell anybody to make a financial move, and once again, keep in mind, you know, I've only been doing this a year. I'm not professional yet. I hope to be, you know, but to reassure myself, I wanted to draw one more card and ask about the financial ramifications of this move. And we have the world reversed, which to me tells me that it may not necessarily be a vertical increase. But judging from all the other cards, it does seem like there's, you know, if it's not. And you know, the world card isn't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily even pertain to finances, even though finance is what I asked when I drew that. It could also be telling us that despite financial increases, it won't be the end-all and be-all of what you're asking for. But keep in mind, it's the world. The world card, what it means is that maybe it's also saying you need to make this transfer, but also remember that this job is not your life either, and that that is not the world for you. So I'm just going to try and do a quick recap. It looks like your old job, there's a certain amount of things that are stifled. Your new job, you got a lot of work ahead of you, a lot of opportunity. Your old job, it looks like that there's stagnation. You need to turn away from something. Your new job looks like there will be a balance and a generosity for you with it. You need to get out of your own way because there is something about yourself that's blocking you from this. I did my little psychic thing, and I saw something in front of you need to push aside, and for some reason it felt like it was wrapped in material, and even a red stripe around it. And then there was a clearing or a stage after that. And don't make this the end-all and be-all of your existence. Okay? Well, that's the reading. Once again, I apologize. I've had a lot of personal drama going on, and at any rate, I hope this has helped you. Let me know if it has. Let me know if I connected on anything, and good luck to you.